Hi everybody, this is Boogess Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the NECA Target exclusive TMNT VHS Pizza Club Leonardo figure. So before we take a look at Leonardo, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the accessories that he comes with. So first up, you get this Zip minifigure. I think it's very awesome that they included this with Leonardo. If I remember right, this would have made more sense as an accessory with Michelangelo, but I'm still glad we got this as an accessory with Leonardo. You get this clear little flight stand you can put him on. He is a little bit top heavy because of his humongous head here. He actually does have articulation. He has a ball jointed head that can look up and down all the way and move side to side very nicely. So not only does this look very cool, but he actually has some articulation there in the head, and I really appreciate that. Up next, you get this ultra tiny accessory of the warrior statue. That looks very good. It actually has some decent sculpt detail to it for being such a tiny accessory. I do wish the sword would have looked more like a sword. I do wish that would have looked a little bit better. But it's a pretty cool little accessory here. Up next, he comes with a set of these pointing hands. Up next, he comes with a set of accessory holding hands. It does kind of suck that this is the only other set of hands that this figure comes with. Usually the previous figures have came with a bunch of different hands. But yeah, you just get the pointing and accessory holding hands, and that's it for the hands on this figure. Up next, he comes with his VHS tape, and this one has a blue collar on it. Each of the Turtles' VHS tapes have their bandana collars on it, and I think that's very cool. Up next, he comes with this book. I'm not sure what the particular book is. I want to say it's the Four Musketeers, but as you can see on the cover, there's only 3 swords there. So if that's what this is, just leave a comment down below and let me know. Up next, you get these binoculars. They look very nice. They're sculpted very nicely and have some nice paint to them. I do like how the black lines are painted around the lenses right there. I do wish that Leonardo could hold these. Due to the limitations of his elbow right there, you can't actually get him up here to hold it properly. So yeah, I do wish that you could get him holding it just a little bit better and lined up with his eyes right there. Up next, he comes with his pepperoni and marshmallow pizza, and this looks very awesome. NECA did an awesome job on this. I love all of the different crazy and kind of gross pizza combinations that all of these VHS Turtles come with. I do have all of them, so now I'm going to be reviewing the rest throughout the week and maybe even some of next week. Up next, he comes with his swords, and you can't actually put these in the sheaths. It's a very tight fit. Maybe I need to heat it up a little bit and stretch it, because putting this in as is just isn't working, and I'm afraid I'm going to scuff this up, so I definitely don't want to do that. And of course, he can hold these in his hands, and in the left side, it's a very tight grip. It stays in there very nicely, but on the side, it's just loose. You can see it's just wobbling if you touch it, and this, putting pressure on it, and it's not wanting to move. You can hear it sliding out of his hand. It's making noise. That's how tight it is. I'm not quite sure why this one is so loose, so I definitely need to heat this up and see if I can get the grip to be just a little bit tighter. And finally, you get the evil robot Leo head, and this looks very nice. The bright red that NECA used for the eyes there looks very good. You get that menacing expression right there. That looks fantastic. And just like with the Turtles in Disguise set, you can actually pop the eyes and mouth off of this figure, so you can create more expressions for the figure. So I think that is very awesome. So now let's take a closer look at the regular head sculpt. So taking a look at the regular head sculpt, NECA did a fantastic job on that. I like how this head sculpt has Leonardo smiling. That looks very nice. You get the 2 tones there on the bandana, the light blue in the front and the dark blue in the back, with some black paint over top of it for the lines. That looks very nice. The shell looks especially fantastic. The color that NECA used this time around for the shell and the black painted in the lines in between, it looks fantastic. It just really pops, and it looks very good on this figure. I'm not sure if this reuses any of the previous Leonardo body molds. I want to say it does, because you have the pretty hindered elbows that I've had on all of the Leonardo figures. I do wish that NECA would find a way to implement double jointed elbows, because these feel really stiff and really hindered. That's really all the farther you get his elbows bending in, so it is kind of hindered. Taking a look at the back of the figure, the shell is sculpted really nicely. It's cast in dark brown, has this light brown painted over top of it, and that came out very clean. You get the two tones to the skin right here, where it's light in the front and darker in the back, and that looks very nice. You also get some of the cel-shaded lines here on the legs and on the knee pads. This is just a very nice looking Leonardo figure. I do have the bright colored 4-pack version and the Turtles in Disguise version. The Turtles in Disguise version was my favorite, but I hated that I had to take their clothes off all the time if I wanted a regular Leonardo, or, any of the Turtles, and I'm glad I don't have to do that now. I also think this is the best Leonardo in terms of colors. I think it looks very nice. The colors pop on it, but they're not too bright like the 4-pack. So I do think this is probably my favorite Leonardo figure, cartoon figure from NECA. I think they did a very nice job on this. So now let's go ahead and go over his articulation. He has a ball-jointed head and neck. They can look up that far. His head does hit on his shell, so that's all the farther it moves up. He can move down that far. I do wish he could move down just a little more. His head can move side to side, and it's very tight. Switching the heads out feels like a nightmare because of how tight that peg is. I might sand the peg down just a little bit, that way taking the heads on and off is a little bit smoother. I've done that with previous figures in the past that have interchangeable heads. It makes it a lot easier and fluid switching the accessories out, and it makes it so that I won't break it if I switch it out too much. So if yours is a little bit tight, you can do that as well. His bandana is articulated. It swivels up and down and spins all the way around. He has shoulders that can move out this far. The shoulders feel extremely stiff. All of the arm articulation in these new VHS Turtles feels very brittle to me. He has a swivel at the bicep, single jointed elbows that feel very stiff, and they only bend in that far. It does move side to side here. On these fisted hands, you get a hinge that moves up and down and spins all the way around like that. You get articulation up in here. I think that's a ball-jointed diaphragm that really moves up and down very slightly, side to side very slightly. Let's see, is that the shell? No. That joint is very tough to move up in there. He has ball-jointed hips that can do a complete split. Oops, that fell out. He can kick forward all the way. He can kick back all the way. He does have a thigh swivel, but it's very slight. He has double jointed knees that can bend back that far, and swivel ankles that can move down just a little bit, up just a little bit, and an ankle rocker. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to the 4-pack version, and as I said in my previous Turtle video, the colors on this version are so bright. I'm glad that the new one's colors are a little more muted. Here he is next to the Turtles in Disguise version of himself, and the colors are actually a little more different than I thought they'd be. Since I have the lights on my review station here, you can switch these expressions out, but the colors really don't match up. You can see how different the colors are on this figure when compared to this new VHS Leonardo. So you can switch it out if you'd want, but the colors would not match. Here he is next to the Punk Leonardo, and the colors are similar. They almost look the same to me. I want to say they are the same. I do want to show what the heads or the expressions look like switched out. So there are the expressions on each of these figures swapped, and I think that looks fantastic. That menacing smile that the Punk Leonardo had makes for a great wide-eyed and smiling head sculpt for this VHS Leonardo figure. That looks really good. I'm still not sure if the colors are exactly the same, but they look exactly the same to me. So yeah, you can do that. It was probably intentional that NECA made it so that you could swap the parts out to get the full array of different looks and accessories for these new Turtles, since they released them at the same time. Here he is next to Splinter, and finally here he is next to Shredder. So overall, if you can find one of these, then I would highly recommend picking it up, because so far this is my favorite cartoon Leonardo figure. Actually, all of these VHS releases are my favorite versions of the cartoon Turtles. I think they're really well done, and I think the colors on them are the best. I also think it's very awesome that you can switch all of the hands and expressions out from the Punk Turtles onto these single-release Turtles. I think that's very awesome and gives you more display options for the figures and stuff for photography. So I think NECA was pretty smart about doing that. So yeah, I would highly recommend picking this up if you can find one. So, that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.